Good evening and welcome to Sunset News on this beautiful Monday evening. As always, we bring you news, community stories, economics, weather, sports, and so much more. I am Glenora Shipura. Getting into the news tonight, the human remains found in a backyard of a house in Okongo in July will this week be transferred to Windhoek for forensic analysis. This was confirmed by Ohangwena Police Deputy Commissioner Melanie Mburu yesterday. Now, this comes after NMH exposed the lack of police intervention after a Congo-based veteran of the liberation struggle, Nathaniel Nicodemus, who discovered the human remains in his backyard while digging a hole for a septic tank on the 12th of July. Now, despite having reported the matter to the police on several occasions, there was no positive response as the human remains were still in his backyard until last week. When contacted over the weekend, Nicodemus said that just a day after NMH published the story, the police acted and visited his house to remove the human remains. Nicodemus' house is about 500 meters from the former South African Army base at Okongo. He believes that the remains are those of a SWAPO People's Liberation Army of Namibia combatant who was killed near the enemy's army base and was buried in a shallow grave. By the look of the remains and the shallow grave, the deceased was shot in the head from close range since the skull is severely damaged, he said. If you look closely, there is burned wood in the shallow grave, and it suggests that after the soldier was shot, the body was thrown in the shallow grave and subsequently burned. Nicodemus also indicated that the pieces of cloth found in the grave resemble the uniform worn by planned combatants during the liberation struggle. I remember this cloth. It is what we used to wear during the armed struggle. This is a body of a fallen soldier, he said. Getting into the next story, Shumbuyu Circuit Inspector for Education, Blasius Heiter, confirmed that about 33 learners from Maria Mwengere Secondary School in Kavango East were hospitalized. He made this confirmation today. Now, the suspected food poisoning followed Saturday's lunch of macaroni with wurst and later bread with polony. Let's have a look.
School that have a hostel. So far, the information that I have is that a total number of 33 learners, boarders, were admitted in the hospital as a result of food poisoning. One is said to be in a ICU. And this situation actually started Saturday. What we are informed of is that the learners ate macaroni and wurst, that is for lunch, and then they also ate supper, bread and polony. And then from there, learners started complaining of stomach ache, vomiting and headache. That is how the situation developed. That is of yesterday. And then the school have a school bus. The learners were immediately transported to the hospital, Rundu State Hospital, where they were admitted. The number, I think I've already indicated the total number of learners. But this morning, we also have identified a couple of them that are still complaining, and they were rushed. I cannot tell you the number now, those ones who were rushed now as I arrived at the school. Yeah, but for us,
in our next story, the Namibia Tourism Board is taking a major step towards decentralizing tourism services with the opening of 3 new regional offices in Rundu, Ongwediva and Lüderitz. The offices officially began operations today, bringing NTP services closer to communities across the country. FloraQuest NTB spokesperson described the expansion as a milestone moment for the tourism industry. NTB Chief Executive Officer Sabalon Chikalo said the move reflects the board's commitment to making services accessible and responsive to the needs of local operators. The Runtu office will serve Kavango East, Kavango West, and the Sambesi region, focusing on the dynamic Northeast Corridor, community-based tourism, river experiences, and the Kasa Transfrontier Conservation Area. The Ongodiva office will cover Ohangwena, Oshikoto, Omusati, and Oshana regions with a mandate to enhance tourism products and foster new partnerships. Meanwhile, the Loderates office will drive tourism growth in the Karas region by tapping into the southern coastline mining heritage and unique geological attractions. From operator licensing and compliance to business support and destination marketing, the new regional office will be open Monday to Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. In our next story, 3 emerging Namibian creatives, namely Valerie Handobe, Shaquila Shikwambi, and Georgina Likukela, have been selected to join the prestigious MultiChoice Talent Factory, a Pan-African initiative aimed at nurturing the next generation of filmmakers. Valerie Handobe is a passionate storyteller born in Tsumeb and grew up in the village of Onankali in the Oshikoto region. Handobe's love for storytelling began at home, listening to radio programs with her family. Inspired by Nollywood and later Z World films, she pursued journalism to bring her passion with a practical career path, earning an honors degree in media studies from the University of Namibia. With over a year of experience in television journalism, Handobe has covered stories on education, health, and community affairs. Now she is ready to expand her storytelling through film, focusing on cinematography. Women are still underrepresented in cinematography, and while more of us are getting involved, it's still mostly male-dominated. I want to be part of the change and inspire other young women to take up space in this area, she said. Shekwambi hails from the northern town of Tsumeb and has been immersed in storytelling from a young age. After moving to Windhoek for school, his media journey began in grade 5 through the Waitani Childline/Lifeline radio program, where he impressed and became a child counselor and radio presenter at a young age. This early exposure to broadcasting ignited his passion for media and led to a breakthrough role in a national film directed by Tim Hubelsch in grade 7. His performance earned him a nomination for Best Upcoming Actor for a film award in Namibia, setting the stage for a lifelong commitment to storytelling. This set the tone for me because after high school, I had already found my passion, which is telling stories. He said, after studying at the College of the Arts, Shikwambi remained connected to the creative industry. Now, as a participant in the MultiChoice Talent Factory, he aims to refine his skills in directing and cinematography, with aspirations of working at a larger scale with the Namibian creative industry. That concludes our top stories. We will be taking a look at the community talk up next.
3, 2, 1. Here we go!
Hi, welcome to We Talk, your weekly hub for inspiring stories and community highlights. In Talk of the Town, we bring you the latest news from Windhoek and the surrounding towns. Need weekend plans? The We Chill segment has the coolest and best events lined up for you. For all the foodies, We Dine explores the hottest dining spots, and for We Do Business, we celebrate the inspiring entrepreneurs. Finally, We Care celebrates the heroes making a difference in their communities. So don't forget to catch We Talk every Thursday at 1:30 p.m. on DSTV channel 285 and GoTV channel 25.
Getting into our community talk, President Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah said her visit to the University of Namibia's Ohongo campus earlier today was important to personally witness the agricultural work being carried out on the ground. She noted that such assessments are crucial in identifying areas that need improvement to ensure Namibia achieves food sustainability and the ability to feed its own people. Let's take a look.
The on-site visit is more to see with your own eyes as to what is really happening and to give you a picture. Specifically, we have decided to visit the areas where we are talking about food production. And that is because if one can look into ecosystem of the economic development, to enable you to respond to the needs of the people, you have to be very holistic. But everything ends on what is getting into somebody's stomach. If that can be jumped, I wonder whether we are going to succeed. And we would really want to see that every sector of our economy will see how can it fit into the sector of food production. It's not by chance that we have decided in our election manifesto to have agriculture as priority number one. It is informed by so many factors, both internal and external. I start with internal, which is also an element of external. We know that over the years, our economy and our fiscus was more depending on garment. We can have our revenues from there, and even when there's a drought, we can buy food wherever we can buy them, because you have something which is coming in. But I'm sure all of you, as you are following what is happening now in the world, a lot of synthetic diamond has flooded the market. And that made the natural diamond, the price to go very low. I don't know to what level is going to be come next year, but this year it really affected our fiscus. I don't know the level next year. And we said to ourselves, if we cannot rely on feeding ourselves, and then now the milk or the cow we were milking seems to be getting dry. We know we can bring other cows in the kraal, like how we are talking about the oil and gas. But the problem is, how long will it grow until you are able to milk it and then be able to feed? So that's why agriculture really became a lower hanging fruit in a way, because many of us, we have a level of expertise in that particular field.
To celebrate its 35th anniversary, ShopRite is giving away $3,500 million in ShopRite vouchers to 35 lucky winners. That's 7 winners every week for the whole month of September. You can join by simply scanning the QR code on the screen and following the instructions. We will be right back with your economic news. Headlining the economic news, Namibia has called the European Union to deepen cooperation in trade, green industrialization, and energy transition as the two partners met for their first formal political dialogue in 3 years. Now, speaking at the Namibia-EU Partnership Dialogue in Windhoek yesterday, Minister of International Relations and Trade Selma Ashipala Mosvieya stated that the long-standing partnership had stood the test of time but required renewed focus to address current challenges. Now, this speech did happen today, I have to correct. Now, the minister described the EU as Namibia's largest and most significant trading partner, with Europe buying Namibian fish, meat, table grapes, orals, and precious stones, while exporting machinery, pharmaceuticals, mineral fuels, and vehicles to the country. She highlighted EU-funded initiatives that support Namibia's development priorities, including $730 million for the green industrialization project, the Towards an Inclusive Design of the Renewable Energy Transition Project, the Etunda feedlot, and humanitarian aid for drought relief. She also linked Namibia's cooperation with the EU to wider African and global agendas, including the AU-EU Partnership Agenda 2063 and the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Discussions in Windhoek are expected to cover economic cooperation, green hydrogen, critical raw materials, climate change, multilateralism, and women, peace, and security. In our next story, the Namibian Nature Foundation, in partnership with beekeeping specialist Dr. Audwin Ashenborn, trained community members in Kongola to improve honey production and promote sustainable forest management. Supported by the Dream Fund/Come-On Foundation and Benga/Casa Arise projects, the training focused on harvesting and processing honey and byproducts such as beeswax. Two participants from Bambuata National Park, supported by NNF's Climate Adaptation for Protected Areas project, also joined the sessions, a move that strengthened the collaborations across conservation initiatives. Beekeeping has become a key livelihood option for local communities, offering economic opportunities that do not rely on cutting down trees. With ongoing support from NNF, participants have received protective gear and smokers, while also gaining access to Congola's Honey Hub facilities. The training builds on earlier work. In 2024, beginner beekeepers from Mundumo North were introduced to the practice. This year, they returned for follow-up training, harvesting honey from 3 hives and using the Honey Hub's extractor to process their yield. 2 advanced beekeepers also led demonstrations applying a train-the-trainer model designed to expand knowledge and ensure long-term self-reliance within communities. Through the Bees and Trees project, NNF and its partners aim to strengthen community forests in the Zambezi region by linking conservation with sustainable resource use. By equipping communities with skills and tools for alternative livelihoods, these efforts help safeguard ecosystems while supporting resilience and income generation. That brings us to the end of the economic news. We now dive into the financial indicators. The Namibian dollar trades against the British pound at 23.84, against the euro at 20.64, against the US dollar at 17.66, to Namibian dollars and 48 cents gets you 1 Chinese yuan. On the commodities market, gold, platinum, and Brent crude oil went up, while copper went down. Brent crude oil trading at 1.10%, going for $68 and 74 cents per barrel. In international news, Sudan has initiated a shutdown of the Haleh oil facility following drone attacks it blamed on the paramilitary rapid support forces, according to a letter sent by its government to its South Sudanese neighbor and seen by Reuters. Halach, which lies along Sudan's southern border, houses the main processing facility for South Sudanese oil, which accounts for the majority of South Sudan's government's revenues. The 2023 outbreak of the war between the Sudanese army and the RSF has disrupted the flow of South Sudanese oil to Sudan, which before the conflict had been receiving between 100,000 and 150,000 barrels of oil per day for further exports. The letter sent by Sudan's Energy Ministry to its South Sudanese counterparts cited drone attacks on August 26th and 30th as the cause for the shutdown. Such unprovoked attacks represent a serious threat to the stability of oil flows from South Sudan, and we cannot, in good faith, continue to man the operation there. The letter, dated August 30th, said, as a result, Sudan had instructed the Sudanese companies operating in the area to be OPCO and PETCO to evacuate, and said the letter would not be able to meet its lifting schedule. Let's swing over to the weather predictions for tomorrow. The Namibian dollar trades against, getting into the weather predictions for tomorrow. The capital city can expect a minimum of 15 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 30 degrees Celsius with sunny weather conditions, while Katima Mulilo can expect a minimum of 15 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 34 degrees Celsius, also with sunny weather conditions. Aramsley can expect a minimum of 17 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 35 degrees Celsius with sunny weather conditions, while Rehoboth can expect a minimum of 14 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 31 degrees Celsius, also with sunny weather conditions. All right, that concludes the international news, and now we take a look at what's happening in terms of the world of sports, courtesy of Sports Wrap.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with rugby news first. It is the Women's World Cup that is taking place at the moment. That is in England, and a good result for South African women's team. They beat Italy by 29 points to 24. That's good enough then for them to qualify for the quarterfinals that will be played on the weekend on the 13th and the 14th of September. So that was in Group D that they played. Another game in Group D was France that beat Brazil by 84 points to 5. France also through to the quarterfinals. Some of the other results, New Zealand, they beat Japan by 62 points to 19. It is New Zealand and Ireland that will go through in their group in Group C. And it is the USA that drew their game against Australia, 31 points all. And then it is the host England, a great result for them, a convincing win against Samoa of 92 points to 3. Moving on to soccer news, English Premier League and defending champions Liverpool, they played against Arsenal over the weekend. That was on Sunday, the big game, and it is Liverpool that beat Arsenal at home by 1-0. They're the only team that's unbeaten after 3 rounds now. That's Liverpool. They've got 9 league points. Other results are from the weekend. Tottenham Hotspur, they lost at home 1-0 against Bournemouth, and then it was Brighton that beat Manchester City at home by 2-1. Also Manchester United back on winning ways, beating Burnley at home, and that was by 3-2. Also in English Premier League, it is transfer news. It is Liverpool that confirmed that they agreed terms with Newcastle United for the striker Alexander Isak, and he will do medicals at Liverpool on Monday. It is reported that it will be for a British transfer record of £125 million. That equates to $169 million US, so lots of money paid for Alexander Isak. Moving on to Formula 1 racing news, it was the Dutch Grand Prix over the weekend at Zandvoort, and it was again Oscar Piastri that won. He's dominating with his teammate in McLaren, and it was unfortunately his teammate Lando Norris that had a mechanical failure, so he couldn't finish the race. So in second position, Max Verstappen in his Red Bull, and then in third position, Isaac Hadjar, and it is the first time that he's on the podium. And at the moment in the points table, it is Oscar Piastri leading on on 309 points. It is Norris, 275 points. And then it is Max Verstappen on 205. Closing off today's international sports news with tennis news, the US Open that continues, and the big news on the men's side of the draw is that veteran Novak Djokovic, he's 38 years old, is into the last 8 of the US Open in New York, and he beat Jan-Lennard Struff by 6-3, 6-3 and 6-2 to advance to the last 8. That's international sports news for today. Hope you have a great sport day. We talk international sport again tomorrow. Goodbye.
That was Ari Hohard with the sports news, and with that we have come to the end of the broadcast. Thank you for tuning in and catching up on the latest news with Sunset News. From me, Glenora Shipura. Until next time.